Hello everyone and welcome to another ProGuides video. I'm Kangas and today we're going to be talking about everything you must know about the Season 11 item reworks. We've covered bits and pieces since we first got wind of the item system's overhaul, but there's been a lot of news in the last week and we've got it all here. Before we get into that, today's question of the day is what item do you look forward to Riot buffing or reworking? As always, let us know your answers in the comments below. And one last thing, be sure to visit us at ProGuides.com. We have the best roster of coaches, top tier live classes from instructors like Mike Young and Zyrene, and courses covering a variety of roles and champs from your favorite pro players just like Doublelift. We also have a brand new VOD review feature and we're super excited for you to try it out. The way it works is you send in a replay file and the coach sends you back a fully reviewed VOD. No one enjoys finding themselves stuck in a rut. Whether you do a live coaching session or a VOD review with our team, you'll find yourself ranking up faster and enjoying the game more as a result, all on your own schedule. We'll even be giving 3 winners a free trial to see how they like it. To enter the giveaway, sign up for an account at ProGuides.com and let us know your goal for ranked this season in the comments below. We'll pick 1 lucky winners from the applicants. Now, without further ado, let's talk about these items, shall we? Through a series of dev blogs and Twitter posts, Riot has put a lot of effort into transparency and honesty this year, and the latest topic of discussion is items. In this video, we'll be going over the most recent dev blog, which serves as the 4th and final in the series from the Summoner's Rift team. The specific topic for this blog was the new and improved approach to item balancing. To start things off, the Summoner's Rift team wants us to know one key thing. Balancing items presents an entirely different set of challenges when compared to balancing champs. While you pick just one champ per game, you pick a combination of different items, and that changes game to game depending on things like team comps and how the game is going. This makes it much harder to determine when an item is over or underpowered based on something like win rate alone. To give us an example, we're told that Mejai's Soul Stealer hovers around an 80% win rate. If a champion did that, Riot wouldn't even wait for a patch to nerf it. It would be hotfixed the same day that stat popped up. The post goes on to explain the reason for the absurd win rate. In most cases, you only buy Mejai's after you have an early lead and you want to snowball it ahead. Trying to nerf Mejai's wouldn't be fair with that in mind. Similarly, we are told what point in the build an item is picked up is also important. Items built to finish off builds, such as Guardian Angel, usually seem stronger because most of the time, the first team to 6 items win, since it's generally meaning that they have a bigger gold advantage. The later an item is built, the higher its win rate is expected to be. So as these 2 examples show us, while champions have a bit more of a rigid guideline based on win rates alone, items are much more nuanced. And just like the champion balance framework exists to guide balancing on that side of things, Riot wants to create a framework to consistently evaluate item balance. Just like the champ version, this will help keep the item system balanced on a patch-to-patch basis. Of course, there will be deep issues that fall outside of the framework's scope, but the idea of these frameworks isn't to be an end-all solution to balance. They're just here to provide guidelines that can help with the vast majority of problems that could otherwise take months to detect, leaving the team with more time and energy to put into the solutions. Of course, as complex as items are, even the simplest of buffs and nerfs can have huge ripple effects. For example, if you make Janna a bit or even a lot too OP, players can just ban her out. But if you make Ardent Censer too OP, then every enchanter in the game is broken, and as a result, hyper carries are the king of the game. Then of course tanks become the best in top lane and the jungle, because the 80 carries just really need a front line and they kill bruisers pretty fast anyway. You get the idea. And that's just one item. Try thinking about the effects of buffing and nerfing every item in the game. There is a lot that can go wrong. With all that in mind, the framework will help improve responsiveness to items that are being indicated, but the team states they will not act rashly when doing so could cause additional problems. While there are a lot of nuances to item balancing, since the item system is fully being overhauled, this is the perfect time to put in a new framework into place and get everything straightened out. Speaking of that overhaul, the blog goes on to outline the 5 specific goals the update is hoping to accomplish. Number 1, item purchasing is quick and intuitive. Number 2, every champion can make strategic decisions through item choices in every game. Number 3, item builds enable exciting ways to master your champion. Number 4, items feel epically powerful and enhance your champion's fantasy. Number 5, iconic items are retained and you don't have to relearn everything from scratch. These are the most immediate goals, and this new improved view on item balance is the first time since League's launch that Riot has updated the fundamental design principles that set the foundation for the entire item system. Ideally, at a high level, builds can be exciting, but don't take precedence over a champion's kit. A key goal listed above is that items should feel epic and enhance a playstyle, but not become the single best build in almost all cases for champs or entire classes. While item power levels are relatively balanced as it is, there are quite a few cases of some champs being hard bound to certain items, such as Yuumi and Athene's. Again, this is just another issue that hopefully the new item balance framework will solve. Riot has actually chosen to share this framework with us super early. This thing isn't in the polishing stage, it's still completely a work in progress, but once completed, the framework will be launched in preseason with no trials. Due to both the framework being brand new and the learning curve on the items, the actual state of balance will be a bit blurred, so balance parameters will be assessed and possible adjusted each month until things settle back down. Some of the specific numbers we talk about in the next few minutes are likely to change even after the framework is fully shipped. Before we get into the details of the framework itself, let me define two key terms for you so you don't get things mixed up. These definitions are straight from the Summoners Rift team. Mythic items. A powerful new class of items coming in preseason that'll be the cornerstone of your builds. You can only wield one mythic item at a time, and they'll almost always be your first purchase. Mythics tend to have greater effects and build implications than the rest of your item purchases, especially because they grant unique bonus stats to your other legendary items. Because you can only have one, your mythic choice should vary game to game depending on circumstances. Legendary items. Completed items that are a tier below mythics. This is your Guardian Angel, your Lichbane, or your Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Previously, this was the strongest tier of items in League. The first section outlines the audience targeted by the framework. When it comes to champions, the player base is broken into 4 skill groups. In the case of items, the skilled and elite groups are combined into a single larger group. This means the data for the framework is drawn from a group ranging all the way from Plat 4 up to Challenger. Mark, Riot Scruffy Yetter on Twitter, reasoned that item choice is one of the mastery points of the game, so we want to base our decisions on the dataset that is close to optimized. With that said, item problems won't just run rampant in the average or pro levels of play, but there will be a more tailored response to issues in those areas specifically. Like all parts of the framework, the audience is subject to change if needed. The first table we're given covers the rules that govern mythic items. The parameters on the table are aimed at number 1, ensuring there are no balance outliers on the mythic system, and number 2, maintaining contextual item choice from game to game. By this table, an item is generally too overpowered if it's purchased too often across its class, has a high purchase rate and notably high win rate compared to other options, or if champs outside of its intended class buy it in most games. Purchase rate is a simple metric that has been one of Riot's indicators for a long time, while win rate is something that has been a bit more unreliable, as we talked about earlier. However, when it comes to mythics specifically, win rate is an applicable metric. Since you will be buying one and only one per game, they directly compete with each other to fill the same slot. While flexibility with items is one of the goals of this system, the third metric is designed to make sure a mythic doesn't just bend to every class's needs. If you have champs from 2 or 3 classes all building an item designed for one specific class, they are likely sacrificing stats just for a passive or active. This indicates that the passive or active is just way too strong and needs to be tuned down a bit. On the other side of the coin, a mythic is considered weak when it's not purchased much compared to its competitors across its target class, if its win rate is lower than other mythics on average, and if it's not the most popular in its class. The first metric is one that may be more apparent. If mythics are designed to be bought in certain situations, but one is being bought quite a bit less than its competitors, it must be too weak. The second metric requires a bit more of compiling data and is aimed at finding items that are weaker but not necessarily unpopular. Items that are losing more than others but are still being bought a lot anyways means they must be the better choice in a situation, and some buffs should make them perform better when they are a good pickup. Even when perfectly balanced, some mythics may be hardbound to certain champs or groups of champs, meaning those champs pretty much gravitate to that mythic regardless of enemy champs, comps, or situation of the game. Basically, that item is part of a champ's cookie cutter build no matter what. If an item is hardbound to 3 or more champs, the item itself needs work. If it's only 1 or 2 champs, the champs may get some adjustments. Moving on from the shiny new mythic items, legendary items are also getting a couple of rules. While with mythics, win rate played a role in things, for legendaries, there are just too many factors. Instead, purchase rate dictates everything. As it stands, if an item is purchased more than 60% of the time across users of the item class, the item is OP. If it's purchased in under 5% of cases, it's underpowered. The last bit of the framework touches on champion-specific rules. Most of the balance is focused on classes, but individual champs need to have strategic choices through itemization as well. In line with that, if any of these 3 rules are broken, the team states that they need a solution to broaden the champion's item choice. Number 1. No champion should buy the same mythic more than 75% of the time. Number 2. No champion should have a single mythic with an over 6% win rate higher than all their other options. And number 3, each champion should have 10 plus legendaries with over a 3% purchase rate. And that is everything covering the new item balance framework. As for the items themselves, they're going to be on the PvE for a longer time period than most changes, since there's lots of room for changes of all sorts, and that'll give the team plenty of time to polish things up for the new season. The blog ends with an announcement that a list of the biggest item changes will be dropping in the next few weeks, so be sure to sub to the channel to stay up to date with all the exciting news. And that wraps up everything we know about Season 11 Item Systems Rework. Remember to let us know which items you can't wait to be changed in the comments below. I can't wait to see you guys back at the next video, but until then, good luck on the Rift, stay safe, and wash those hands.